Hello everybody. It is Thursday, the 11th of August. I want to think about the Apostle Paul, about the link between Rome and Israel, which still exists to this day, and really show the true way to the will of the God of this world. And I think it is a reflection of the Creator in a smaller part, the Creator being all. So, let's start with Paul. And what was Paul as a person? Because we understand things according to ourselves. So then what was Paul? I tell you the one thing he was not. He was not a Christian. Not in the true sense, to me. Because to me, the Christ, the Spirit that will save you, the knowledge that will save you, Christ the Spirit. Jesus was the person, Christ is the Spirit. The true Christ in this teaching is the knowledge that whatsoever you ask for in prayer, know that you have received it and it will be yours. That is the true Christ. And Paul did not preach that. So he did not preach the Christ. But he preached the way of Jesus, the way of the cross, the way of denial of self. That is what was taught to Christians. Yeah? Don't think for yourself, don't say anything. Trust in God, trust in the authority of those that say they are the image of God on earth, like the Pope. And don't think for yourself. And if you should see anything that speaks against that, you're going to get burned at the stake. So that is what Paul preached. So again, what was Paul in himself? He was two things. He had really two personalities. One was he was a Jew. Now this is a teaching, a knowledge that is grown out of the Jewish tree of knowledge. There's absolutely no doubt about that. Yeah? It's not Roman. They had a completely different religion, belief system. So, he was Jewish. He would have understood, high-ranking Jew. He would have understood exactly what was going on there. He would have understood that a spiritual teaching is there to create a man in the image of that teaching. And he would have understood that that teaching would create something that is subservient, because that is what Jesus became, absolutely subservient to a higher authority. Yeah, not thinking for himself, not doing for himself, only speaking that what he was told to speak. In this day and age, the equivalent would be a Justin Trudeau, and all the others that are of that ilk, that don't think for themselves anymore. They're just the perfect puppets. So that is the one side. That is what the Jew in Paul would have understood perfectly well. But I said there was another side to Paul, and that is something that people are not being made aware of in a big way, and that is he was a Roman. Paul was Roman. And Rome is the will to rule over everything and to have dominion over this, the known earth, known to them at that time. Expanding all the time, when they knew somewhere else go and take it over. So those were the two sides of Paul. The spiritual knowledge and the will to have dominion. They were actually combined in Paul. And that's where he started preaching. And then notice, folks, that the way of the cross, the way of denial of self, the way of absolute subservience to authority, that was preached to the Gentiles, not to the Jews. He made disciples amongst the Gentiles. Even in this day and age, try to go to Israel and convert a Jew to Christianity. It's not allowed. The New Testament is not even allowed in Israel. Why? Oh, because they don't believe in Jesus. No, they know, at least those of the higher ranks know exactly what that teaching says and what it does. It will create a slave. So again, there were two parts in that book. One was the way of the cross. The other was just that knowledge, the true Christ. You know, that we are spiritual beings, that we can manifest outcomes. We ask and we will receive. That is the part that was worked amongst Peter and those disciples, the Jewish disciples. And Paul preached the other side to the Gentiles. And then in the end, although Paul himself was no longer part of that, obviously he was crucified, because neither the Jews nor Rome caught on to what was actually happening until they got together. Again, it was Paul that brought the two together in the creation of the Christian religion. When this book was put together, and again, the beast will not create knowledge itself. It never does. It takes knowledge that already exists and then it tweaks it so that it will serve its own intention, which is to rule over everything. And that is exactly what they did when they put the Bible together. They tweaked the texts so it would portray a certain narrative. It would preach the way of the cross. And although the other part is in there still a little bit, it's not preached, not in the churches, not in a big way. So, I mean, this whole idea, again, and that was a complete diversion, Caesar's Messiah, that Rome actually invented this. No. Rome had no idea what they were looking at. It was Jewish knowledge, and Jews keep to themselves. They don't share until Paul did share. Big start. Thank you. So they got together, and even to this day, because one has got the machinery, Rome had the machinery, the materialistic machinery to have dominion, and the Jews had the spiritual knowledge, and the two got together, and they are still together to this day. So, again, for us, the true way is twofold. One is see the true Christ in that teaching. It is spirit. It is spirit that will create a man. If you know, you can ask and you will receive. And in the Creator there's no judgment. It will give. Then that would create a man. A man that is certain of himself. That's the first thing. And the second thing is stay within the law. Absolutely stay within the law of this world. Because I think that knowing would make you an extremely powerful creature. It would. But if this world is here to teach us anything, is that we are not all there ever was and ever will be. We are not the only thing in existence. And not everything is created just to serve us. That is the thinking of the beast. What this world should teach us is that we are in an ecosystem together with lots of other forms of life, and they are also creator. We are not the only ones. And what this world should tell us, teach us, is that nothing is elevated to rule over everything else. Nothing. Everything should play a part in sustaining the whole. And everything plays a part according to what it is. We are man, we are humanity. We should work within that thought of sustaining everything around us, whilst giving everything the right to remain what it is. It will be a complicated task, but that is where we should be going. But right now, that the true Christ would save us, especially when it comes to healings and stuff like that. I think we will need an awful lot of that, the healings of the bodies, because of what they have done, especially over the last few years. We need that knowledge. We need to stand in that knowledge and receive. Anyway, here, I leave it at that for today, and talk to you again soon. Bye.